you showed me a picture when you were in the Army, and it was like just a headshot, and you were like, "Look at me, man! I look dead."
Yeah, look at my eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. I look back, I look at that, I show that picture to people because that was I think that picture was in 2013 or 14, like on my 4th deployment. And I literally just my eyes looked dead. And I had been suicidal for several years at that point. And I was lost. I was as lost as I could have been. And I was going through change of command ceremonies and, you know, killing every, outdoor activity that we could do, and, running marathons and climbing mountains, and, taking military teams to go do athletic competitions that we did really well in, all that kind of stuff, getting through Ranger school, that's not easy. I mean, I was accomplishing a lot of things and I was dead inside. And so I think I learned really slowly over time, those things do not matter.
Did you know you were dead? Probably not.
Oh, I did. Yeah.
You did know.
I'd get drunk and, stick my gun in my mouth and fire it over my head. I'd just bawl my eyes out,
Because you were miserable.
I was miserable. I'd drive out into the middle of a field somewhere and just scream and pound the ground, yell at the sky. And I mean, I was so miserable. But then I'd, gather myself back up and go out the next morning to do whatever I was.
Just like it never happened.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is we all have the capacity to do that.
Tell them hope isn't far away. There's new life in Jesus' name. And I'm not ashamed.
All right, well, welcome to For the Kingdom. Today we have a good friend, my good friend of several years since 1997. We have Ryan Tackett here today. Ryan?
Good to see you. This is the first time in 26 years that we've seen each other.
26 years.
Yeah, nothing's changed at all. 26 years.
Maybe some crow's feet, right? So this is a special episode for a couple reasons. I've known Ryan a long time, since 1997. So that's almost 30 years, and we were younger men back then. And I met Ryan at Liberty University, and the reason this episode's so special is that Ryan was instrumental in leading me and helping me know Jesus Christ. And we're going to get into what that looks like when we get into some of the college years. But and so the last time I actually saw Ryan was in 2000. And I think we both forgot that he was in my wedding. One of the reasons that I think I forgot is because I had 11 or 12 groomsmen.
That might be why I forgot.
But Ryan was in my wedding. I was in his. And then, of course, we both joined the Army. And we lost touch for a long time. And I actually looked on my phone because I don't know what happened, but when I reconnected with you again in this journey, you were part of this process again. So God was doing something in me about 2 years ago, and I reconnected with Ryan, and I don't know, God put a fire in my belly again for him. And so once again, Ryan, you were an important part of this process. And so we never know the lives that we touch. And so I feel eternally grateful for knowing you and for our friendship and just to catch up. So that was in October 2024.
Yep.
And we talk about once a month now.
Yep.
And I always look forward to our conversations and so so this is a very special episode.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be here
With
you. I'm happy to see you.
Yeah.
Just in person.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
We've been looking forward to a big hug.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad you asked for a second one before we started.
I might ask for another one, but I'm sure I'll ask for another one before this day ends. And I expect that. And so all right, I'm going to just do a little background,
Sure.
on you. And
I'm here. I have no idea what to expect.
You have no idea what to expect.
Not really. No.
Okay.
So I'm just going to follow your lead.
We'll wait to see what God does. And so the first thing is Ryan is a disciple of Jesus Christ. He's a pastor. He's a family man. He's a pastor of a small church here in Ohio. What's the name of the town?
This is Urbana.
Urbana, which I've never heard of, but
Yeah.
it's super cute, so he's passionate about weekly men's groups, counseling expecting fathers at a pregnancy center.
And that's here in Urbana also. Yeah.
We've got an expecting father here in the room with us.
Oh yeah? Right there.
We
behind
do.
the camera.
So
Nice.
just for the
Congratulations.
audience, June is an expecting father, and
That's
he's
exciting.
behind the camera. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. He loves doing one-on-one discipleship. You love that.
Yeah.
How many guys do you think you meet on a regular basis?
I don't know. I don't count.
You don't count, you're doing. I know when I call you, you've just gotten done with a guy, and then you're about to go meet someone else.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes.
It's a great way to spend the day. It's a great way to spend the day, man.
This right here, I call this windshield time
Yeah,
because the eye is the window to the soul,
yeah,
right?
yes.
So when you're looking into another person's eyes, you're looking into their window. When you're driving down the road,
Yeah.
you call it windshield time.
Yeah.
So
So you call it windshield time.
I get as much windshield time as I can with people. Yeah.
That's good.
It's the most important part of life.
It is the most important part of life.
Yeah.
Relationships, fellowship. What's interesting is I think most people don't realize that until they're older, if ever.
Yeah.
The importance of relationship, especially intimate relationships, to where you can be real with each other, you can be transparent, you can be honest, and this is what Jesus Christ modeled for us. But it's rare, man.
Yeah. Man,
It's rare.
yeah.
So Ryan was born in Dayton, Ohio. How far is Dayton from here?
45 minutes south.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
close.
was surprised. Cincinnati's pretty big.
Yeah.
It's a good-sized city.
Yeah.
But we are in a small town right here.
Oh, absolutely. That's most of Ohio is small
Really?
farm towns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
Dayton though is pretty good size, about 200,000 now, I think, something like that.
So Ryan went to school at Liberty University, where I went as well, and studied math. Did you do well in calculus?
I did.
So so just for the audience, this means we have a bright man over here. I'm going to tell some stories in today's podcast that the audience might start to question your true intellect.
Yeah. I'm not claiming it. just because you get a math degree does not mean you're a smart guy.
But you had a minor in biblical studies.
I did.
You did.
Yeah.
Um,
Actually, I considered a major
you did.
when I was at Liberty. Yeah.
Why did you change your mind?
I don't know. It was about halfway through my sophomore year, and I just thought I could do something with math and kind of, I think, being bivocational and just thinking if I was going to go into ministry, that I would have something that I could do to earn a living and
That makes sense.
be in ministry.
Because, I mean, pastors aren't...
None of which I did for the next 25 years.
Pastors aren't known to make a lot of money either.
Yeah. I've only been a pastor for 2 years, so we're gonna
get into all that. We're gonna get into that.
Yeah.
But you did get an MBA.
I did.
From Liberty.
From Liberty, yeah. Well, I was in the Army.
I got mine from Liberty too.
I wonder if we're in the same class.
I did mine about 5 years ago, and I'll tell you, because
Okay.
I did take calculus, never understood it. I did all the homework and probably got a B minus.
That's pretty good. I did none of the homework and got a B minus. So I actually.
Okay. So anyway, but I was taking accounting, and I did the accelerated one. Like, so I would do a course every 6 weeks. That's what I did at Liberty.
Yep.
And I was taking accounting, and I was probably studying. I was doing lots of projects at work. I probably studied about 20 hours. I know you didn't study at all, but I studied probably 20 hours for that first quiz, and I got a B minus. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to keep this pace up. I'm not going to be.
Because what do you have to do to get an A if you're studying 20 hours?
I
for a
agree.
B minus?
So I dropped it. I dropped
the class.
Yes, and I'm like a never quit kind of person.
Yeah.
Like, I know you're like no slack, right? Isn't that a thing? No slack.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, but I was like never quit. So I felt like I failed a little bit. But anyway, so I went back maybe 4 months later, took it again. I was literally one question away on any assessment from getting an A. And I was mad about that. But it's okay. It's okay. So Ryan got an MBA, and so Ryan is a retired logistics officer. Now, were you logistics or ordnance? There's two, right? Two things.
Yeah, there's a couple. I was a logistics.
Logistics
I
officer.
started off in air defense artillery. with
Okay.
Patriot Air Defense. And then after 2 years, I branch transferred to logistics.
Logistics.
Yeah.
My son's going to study logistics. It's a good move.
That's a good move.
Forecasting, planning.
Yep. And stuff
beat
is
it.
always going to be moving. So,
That's right.
yeah.
I didn't know you were a general's aide.
Yeah. From 2000, I was in Kuwait for a year with him in 2006, and then he took me to Korea for a year in 2007.
So you're making a lot of coffee.
I did.
What
Yeah.
about scheduling a lot of birds?
Yeah.
That's,
Yep. I planned a lot of travel, coordinated a lot of travel. I wrote his speeches.
really?
Yeah, maybe 10% of which he actually used.
Okay.
His name was General Ray Mason, and he used to be able to take a napkin before we'd, be sitting at a meal right before you're supposed to talk to like 1,000 people or something.
Yeah.
He'd take some, piece of a napkin or something, write a few notes on it and stick it in his pocket.
That's it.
And then he'd go out there and talk for 30 minutes, and I was just in awe.
He two-star general?
He retired as a 3-star, but he was a
3-star.
1-star when I was with him.
Really?
Yeah.
I was also selected to be a general's aide.
Okay.
I turned it down to
Okay.
go to grad school through the Army.
Well, see, and you ended up doing something much more lucrative.
Wow. I don't
That's
know.
how you became a PA, right?
Yeah. So you've been a commander in the 82nd?
Yeah.
82nd Airborne, which is high tempo, man.
It's funny
Was it
because
high tempo then?
that it really wasn't for us. 2009 and 10, but then as soon as I got to the Ranger Battalion for a second command,
Yeah.
very high tempo for the next 4 years.
Did you want a second command?
I didn't even think about it, but
You said opportunity knocks, let's go.
Yeah, I was getting ready to go to a different assignment
Yeah.
after command, and I got asked if.
Well, leaders want that.
Yeah. It's an interesting, the Ranger Regiment is an interesting unit because you typically end up one rank higher than you normally would be for a grade. So, as a former military officer, that can actually kind of put you behind. So I ended up.
So a company commander in Ranger Battalion was a major normally?
Yeah,
okay.
Most of us were senior captains when we took command and ended up being majors before we left command.
Yeah, which is atypical.
Which is atypical. But it doesn't really hurt you in your career. You come out of Ranger Regiment.
Yeah, I mean, you're the tip of the spear, man.
Yeah.
So okay. Multiple tours in the Middle East.
Yeah.
In the desert. We remember those days. So lifelong athlete. Outdoor adventurer. I remember in college, Ryan was so strong. You were just...
Not as strong as you.
You were. Baseball. You played baseball in college, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
What position did you play?
I was a pitcher.
You were a pitcher?
Yeah. I'm still paying for it.
You are?
Yeah, I've got a tear in my rotator cuff right
Really?
here. And then
What was your best pitch?
Slider.
A slider. Now, does that mean the ball slides?
Yeah, kind of a curveball comes over the top a little more, and a slider kind of comes down at an angle.
My great uncle, his name was Johnny Peacock. He played with Ted Williams as a catcher.
Okay.
In like the late 40s. Okay. And I honestly didn't have a ton of respect for baseball because I saw baseball players.
No offense taken.
They didn't look like they were in shape. I was like, the game's kind of slow.
That's fair in a lot of ways, yeah.
All right. I did not have a lot of respect until I became an assistant coach for my son, who was probably, my son's here, by the way, Landon. He's 14.
Yeah.
He came on this road trip with Dad. It means a lot to me. He's my only son. He's stuck in between two daughters. And he told us one time when the girls are upset, he's just going to make cookies. And I said, dude, you won the battle there, buddy. So anyway, I was doing some assistant coaching with the boys, and he was probably 11 years old. And I'm telling you what, these kids at 11 will throw a ball that hurts your hand.
Yeah.
And they probably because I didn't know any better, they had me behind the plate as the catcher. No freaking gear on.
Yeah.
No gear on, man. 11-year-old would break your kneecap.
Yeah.
He will break your kneecap.
I still remember when my dad quit catching me.
Really?
Yeah, and I was probably maybe 13. Yeah. I about broke his thumb. I mean, his thumb just went back and the whole thing was purple. And
yeah, at 13, you probably throwing 70-mile-an-hour pitches.
Yeah.
70 miles an hour.
Yeah. And pitchers, by the way, do stay in shape, so.
They do.
Yeah, you're usually running 3 to 5 miles. Because you got to have endurance,
Yeah, yeah.
But professionals especially, though, are athletes. Liberty was Division I, so we had a lot of athletes. I mean, they were...
Did you play the whole 4 years?
No.
No.
No, I ended up leaving, coming back to Dayton, playing at a community college for a year after my first year at Liberty. And then in order to go back, we had a stacked team. We had 7 guys my junior year get drafted.
Wow.
Yeah. We had twins, the Benham twins. They played third base and catcher, and they were
I think the name
incredible athletes. But anyway, we had all of our scholarships were out, and there was no way I could be at Liberty. But I ended up being the manager. I don't know if you remember that, but I was the manager for the baseball team for the second 2 years I came back for.
I didn't realize you left in between.
Just for a semester.
You did?
Yep.
Why'd you leave?
I couldn't afford it.
Really? It was a financial thing.
Yep.
Well.
Yeah, they gave me a scholarship at Liberty for 1 semester, and then I wasn't going to get one the next semester. And they said maybe another year. And anyway, but yeah, it was a financial issue.
Okay.
But I wanted to be at Liberty at a Christian school because when I came up to Dayton, which is where St. Clair is, and played on their team, everybody was drinking and smoking weed.
Mm.
And I had been at Liberty for a semester.
Yeah, you're
And I
like,
got a taste of, I mean, I had left my rebellious teenage years and been around a lot of really good young men. And I sacrificed sports for that environment. And Liberty really was an awesome environment to be in.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So distance running, mountain climbing, scuba diving, all that stuff. You love the outdoors.
Yeah.
I feel connected with God when I'm outside, and it doesn't have. I can be in the woods, the beach, a stream, a forest,
Yeah.
a sunset, the clouds.
There's so many amazing places in the world. I mean, I climbed Mount Rainier a number of times when I was out in Washington
How many
State,
feet is that?
14,200 feet. And it's just one of the most breathtaking places to be in the world, just to look around and see for miles and only see other mountaintops with snow, and just there's nothing like that.
Yeah, one of the things I'm talking to a very smart physician right now. We're talking about Jesus, and I was roommates with him in Afghanistan, and I told him this. I said, yes, I have faith now, but I really came to know the Lord because I had an understanding that this was all designed. And if this was designed, there is a designer.
That's right.
And if there's a designer, who is that designer?
John chapter 1 says it's Jesus.
Yes. But see, I that was already like sinking in my mind at Liberty for about a year.
Yeah.
Before I kind of turned my life over to Christ. I already came to understand that. And so the reason was involved. And to me, and it's coming out more and more now in society, where people are understanding that science, that history, that archaeology all point to a biblical Jesus.
Yeah.
Because it's the truth.
Yeah.
It's the truth.
We're actually getting ready to show The Case for Christ here next Saturday.
It's a great book and a great movie.
Every so
It's
often.
great.
Yeah.
It's a great book and movie. So Ryan has a deep appreciation for God's creation, which we talked about. And so in this episode later, we're going to kind of go through, we're going to start at the beginning, go through your whole story. But we're also going to talk about, later, we're going to talk about mental health versus discipleship, mental health and addiction treatment.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about bulimia and men and the power of community and vulnerability. So with that being said, I do try to give guys a small gift. And so this is for you.
Okay.
Okay? It's small, but you'll like it. I hang these in my gym garage.
Okay.
And so you don't have to hang this in the middle of your banner of your church, but I know you'd like this.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that is really awesome. And so true.
So true,
I
man.
am not ashamed.
He's not ashamed. Ryan
No.
is not ashamed
Thank you.
of the gospel of Jesus Christ.
I appreciate that. That means a lot. That'll go in my garage.
It'll go in your garage, man.
Yep.
Perfect spot for it.
Yep. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome, brother.
I wish I brought you a gift.
This is the
But no.
gift, me seeing you, buddy.
Yeah. I can't believe we're sitting here, to be honest with you. And it reminds me of the importance of relationship. And like you said, not knowing how lives touch each other. And when you called 2 years ago, I was already in touch with so many people, and it was like not a day had gone by, and I could just sense your spirit over the phone, and immediately knew, okay, we're back in touch. And a lot of stuff can happen in over 20 years, and we've lived a lot of life in between. But this life is so short. It's very short. And the impact that we have on each other, the encouragement that we can give one another to keep going when we want to quit, the way that we can walk in the light of Christ together and get through the valley of the shadow of darkness, because that's what this place in a lot of ways is on the earth. It's tough. This place is hard to live in. And not just as a pastor, I know you see it in the medical field. You see it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not even people bringing their spiritual issues forward. That's just the difficulties with the body. And that's nothing compared to the struggle of the soul. This place is hard.
It's very hard. All right, well,
But there's a lot of hope.
there's a lot of hope.
Yeah,
And there's freedom, and there is answers.
there are. Yeah,
And we're gonna talk about all that.
yeah.
So let's just start from the beginning. So you were born in Dayton, Ohio. How old are you, man?
48.
I'm 48 too.
Yeah.
So you were born in 19.
That's funny. We were in the same year in college, and somehow we end up
That's what happens.
around the same
I know,
age.
but I like failed kindergarten, so it's always.
I'll be 49 this year.
Okay, I just turned 48.
Okay. All right. I'll be 49 in
Yeah.
October, so.
So you were born in Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah.
Okay, what was child life like? I mean, what were your parents like, and brothers and sisters and all that? What did that look like?
I have 2 younger sisters.
Okay.
So I'm the oldest. Not like I know Brandon just walked out, but I'm not sandwiched between them. I'm
Yeah.
older than both. But 3 kids, and we lived in kind of just on the outskirts of the downtown area in Dayton. It was a rough neighborhood.
Yeah.
But, my dad, the year before I was born, bought this little house for, I think it was like $14,000 or $15,000. And he did not want to have a baby come into the world and not have a home for him. So he made sure that he had a house. And, if I'm sure my parents are going to end up seeing this, but I think it was an old trap house,
Yeah.
if you know what that is.
Yeah.
So he had to do quite a bit of cleanup. But
You got a deal though on it.
yeah, he did.
Yeah.
It was amazing. But in the 70s, you could get a house for
Yeah.
that. But my dad was a very hard worker. He always had 2 or 3 jobs. I remember my mom made him quit one of his jobs one time. She refused to wake him up in between jobs. And he slept for like 36 straight hours. She refused to wake him up. She was like, when he wakes up, he'll figure it out.
He needed it.
Oh, he needed it bad. And so that just proves, though, what a hard worker my dad was. And he was always working to improve the house. In the military, we know you always leave your fighting position better than you found it. You keep improving. But yeah, at home, that's important too. And he did that, and he provided well. My mom also worked by the time we started school. And so it was a busy household. We went to church growing up.
Your parents were believers?
Yeah.
That's good.
Some of the stuff that, I think probably most people that are raised in a Christian home know there can be a difference between going to church and what happens in the house.
Mm-hmm.
So I think over the years, especially as a teenager, there were just a lot of things I started as a young teen to get really disenfranchised about, and start get angry.
Maybe young teens do that in general.
They do it in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was a pretty normal teenage upbringing. I'm grateful. I'm very close to my parents and my sisters. They still all live in the local area. And after a lot of years of being physically away and then really being emotionally separated.
You've
from all
restored
of
those
them.
relationships.
Yeah. So,
Which is beautiful.
yeah, and continuing to restore them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so childhood, middle school, and high school, anything eventful, sports, girlfriends, or just a normal, what kind?
All of it.
All of it,
Yeah,
you know,
I mean-
a regular kid, regular life.
Yeah.
And what made you decide to, I guess go to Liberty initially?
So this is where the anger that had been building in my teenage years, the day after I graduated high school, I moved out.
The day after?
Yep. And I didn't speak to my parents for about the next 6 months.
Wow.
Pretty rebellious.
Yeah,
pretty
you were angry.
Yep. And I went and just started doing, my own thing. I got a job at a place here in Vandalia. It's probably 30 minutes from here, west of here. And it was called Unibuilt Construction, and we made modular homes, and I did all the drywall and finishing and stuff.
Mhm.
And I did that for 6 months and partied at night and worked 10-hour days, and really kind of started sowing wild oats. And then I had my dad, I found out later, put him up to it. My old youth pastor got in touch with me, and he sat me down.
Your dad put him up to it?
Yeah. And he sat me down at a Bob Evans late that year, like November of 96, the year I graduated high school. And he just looked at me and he said, matter of fact, he's still a pastor over at a church called Fair Creek.
Really?
Yeah, close to here. Been a pastor. He was a youth pastor then, and he's been a pastor for a long time. And name's Greg Trout. And he goes, Ryan, what are you doing? He just looked me dead in my eyes and, what are you doing? And I did not have an answer. I mean, I knew what I was doing. He knew what I was doing. My parents knew what I was doing.
So when he said that, you knew exactly what he meant.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. And I just, like most 19-year-olds at the time, and you got caught,
Yeah.
You can't run forever.
It was embarrassing.
It was embarrassing. And I really did think, like, yeah, it's wrong to not be talking to my parents and to be doing the things I'm doing. And so he said, listen, I just went down for a college visit at Liberty University, and I think you could play baseball down there. And I was
The youth pastor said that.
Yeah, I was a pretty good high school baseball
So
player.
he already knew. He knew you well.
Yeah.
Enough.
Oh yeah. I'd known him for 5 or 6 years, at that point. And he said, why don't you, the coach's name is Johnny Hunton, why don't you put a audition tape together or whatever, put a tape together. And so I got my old high school catcher, and I went out with a camcorder like this big and VHS tapes, and I went out there and threw, 60 or 70 pitches and sent this VHS tape down to Liberty University. And Johnny Hunton called me and he goes, hey son, how would you like to come down here and play? I can only give you 1 semester worth of scholarship, but I can give you $6,000. And I said, I'm in. So I moved back in with my parents. I made amends with them, and I was at Liberty 2 months later. That's how
cool.
I got down there.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, you probably didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't think we met freshman year.
No,
We didn't.
I think it was the end of 97,
Yeah.
or maybe beginning of 98 after I came back from St. Clair.
I met you my sophomore year.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so how did when you went to Liberty, you were already a believer?
See, now
We'll get into, there's some gray in here, right?
Well, we'll get into this just for, anybody, if there's 10 people that watch this and they're believers, they're following Christ or whatever level of, faith they have, they're probably looking back over their life and trying to figure what happened, because Christ calls us. And I know for a fact that when I left Dayton and went to Liberty, for 6 months, I felt like I knew Christ for the first time.
At Liberty?
At Liberty, yes.
Okay.
And I was in the Word every day. I was meeting with prayer groups and going to Wednesday night and Sunday.
And growing and
I-
seeing fruit.
Yeah,
And yeah,
and
all these
I
things.
grew up doing that, but I did it
Because you wanted to now.
because I wanted to, and because I could see the change that was happening inside of me. The anger was going away. The things that I was doing in that rebellion, I didn't want to touch those things. And actually, I want to say that maybe we did. I don't remember. Yeah, we probably met in 1998 because I believe when I did that longer fast, it was at the end of 1998. But anyway, I was all in at that point. And so when I came up to the junior college to play baseball for a semester and I was around all of that junk again, I didn't hang out with one of those guys for 1 minute off the baseball field. I didn't go to a party. I didn't go to anybody's house. I didn't go to a meal with any of them. I did not want that anymore. And so I did everything that I needed to do to get back to liberty.
And so, Ryan and I met when I was, I haven't told a whole lot of my story in the podcast, but I think this is timely. And even though this is about you today, it's about him.
Yeah,
It's about
exactly.
you.
No, it's about Christ, and that's why he's
it's
in the
about
center
Christ.
of both of us.
But so when I went to Liberty, I was not a believer at all.
I know.
At all. I
won't tell you my initial impression of
it
you.
was probably bad.
No,
man.
I'm teasing you, man.
But but then that freshman year, I really got into my studies. I got into lifting weights. My wife, I was dating my wife at the time.
I met Shannon.
Yeah, you met Shannon. And so I really stopped doing a lot of stuff that I did before. And like I said, I was starting to realize that there was a creator. Professors were speaking life into me. I started thinking, because I didn't have a great childhood. I was adopted and I didn't have confidence in myself. But then that freshman year, I started thinking a lot, maybe I should act like a man. I really did. And I think through my decisions and my actions, my trajectory, my future can be different. I don't have to live in that past anymore.
Yeah.
And so, but I remember between my freshman, my sophomore year, I remember this. I made a decision that I'm going to go back to my old life.
I remember that.
But I was not a Christian.
We met after you did that.
We met.
You told me about it.
Yeah. And I was not a Christian though. But I knew these things were wrong. And so I did. That summer I did. And I was miserable, man. Like, it wasn't fulfilling. It wasn't fun. I knew it was wrong. I knew it was the wrong direction. I knew it led to nowhere. And so I come back my sophomore year and, really kind of disappointed in myself. I was like, okay, I need to start changing my life. And of course, I tell my students this, I think organic chemistry alone probably changed my life. It was so hard. It was so hard. And, but more than that, I start probably listening more in church. And at that time, and it was early in the sophomore year. I remember it was early. Ryan starts coming to my room. And I was on the baseball hall. I don't know how I got stuck on the base.
You were one of the only people in the baseball hall that was.
Everybody was a baseball player, you know. And Ryan starts coming to my room. And just as a friend, it wasn't like, you were a friend. And you start opening the Word of God and start praying with me. And we just are kind of reading it together. And you tell me, you said, hey, Jeff, I'm doing this 40-day fast, okay, for your salvation. This is what you tell me. You're probably 19 years old, right? And you said, it's not just me, there's a couple other guys doing it too, and I thought, 40-day fast, I mean, what do you mean, like water only? Yeah, like water only. And
I had a kid, his name was Ben, and he was on the baseball team, Ben Jones. And he'll never run across this, but if you do, Ben, I hope, hope you're not as, man, he followed me around, and he didn't believe that I didn't tell anybody that I was fasting. He said, something's different, something's wrong with you, what's going on with you? He kept asking me, and he bugged me for like a week, and I was losing a little bit of weight, you know? And he wouldn't leave me alone, and finally I go, Ben, I was not going to tell him, but he just would follow me around. He'd be like right here
trying
all
to
the
see
time.
if you were eating.
No, he didn't know what was happening. He didn't know I was fasting.
He just thought
He knew something
different.
was wrong, right? And man, I always look back and I think, man, there was like a spirit there, because he'd go, what's going on with you? What are you doing? And I finally told him. It was probably 8 or 10 days actually. I waited, and it was driving me nuts. It was like he was a tormentor, man. And I didn't want to tell anybody I was fasting, except for you, because I was praying for you. And I finally said, Ben, I'm fasting. And he goes, what do you mean you're fasting? I said, I'm not eating. And he goes, what do you mean you're not eating? And I said, I'm not eating. And he goes, what? And he said, are you drinking water? And I said, yeah, I'm drinking water, but I'm not eating. And he goes, for how long? And I said, I don't want to tell you for how long, Ben. And he goes, I don't believe you. And he goes, how long have you been doing this? And I said, a week and a half or something. He goes, I don't believe you. He just kept going, man. And so anyway.
Well, wherever you're out there, Ben, we hope you hear this and you love Jesus.
Yeah.
And so, but what happened was, at the end of those 40 days, I think it was like to the day. I remember you came in my room. I don't even remember what passage you read. But at the end of that, it was like the 40th day, man. You were reading, and I'm telling you, it was like the clearest thought in my mind. It was like a light bulb in my head. I was 100% sure that the Bible's real. Jesus is God. He wants to know me, and he wants me to know him. He wants to be known, but not just me, everyone.
Yeah.
And it was just so clear. And it was like a 180. My life was like a 180. And my wife thought I was a little crazy at first, because it's like, it's Friday night. What do you want to do? Prayer circle. It's, it's Friday night. What do you want to, let's feed the homeless. It's like, because I'm a passionate person.
Yeah.
And so she really, came to know the Lord very soon afterwards. And we haven't really looked back. Isn't
it awesome the way he uses you and how he made you? You were a passionate person when I first met you, but it's where it gets channeled.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he still uses, you're born with natural gifts and talents and abilities.
Yeah.
And he uses that for his kingdom.
Yeah.
And for his purposes.
Or we misuse it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know, on the drive up here, and this is one story why I'm going to tell Ryan that even though he was a math major, I question how smart you are.
Okay.
So Ryan,
it doesn't take much.
It doesn't take much.
I'm going to tell plenty about.
I don't
myself,
know if this was before the fast or after the fast, but Ryan gets me because he knows I'm studying science, and he tells me that he's caught a mythological creature. It is what's known as a cabot.
Yeah.
It's a crossbreed.
It's a cat rabbit.
Between a cat and a rabbit. Now, I do not know so I guess I was the subject matter expert at this time because I was a biology major.
That probably is why I came.
That's probably.
I needed somebody else to come because I had it under a bucket down at the baseball field.
And I remember when y'all grabbed that bucket, it was like, it was about.
That thing was rabid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not rabbit. It was rabid.
I actually think it was a Cabot.
You actually do? No, you don't.
I don't know what it was.
I can't.
I don't know what it was.
It was either a very maimed cat.
Yeah, poor guy.
Poor, whatever it was.
And
poor
you trapped it under a bucket.
And I trapped it under a bucket.
Yeah.
Because the way it was moving, it looked like a rabbit. But it could have just had injured back legs.
Yes.
And then a rabbit head. A cat head.
The rest of the podcast, so after that, Ryan, for the last 25 years, has been searching and researching mythological creatures. No, he has not. He has not. So
this is the first time I've had that brought to my mind since.
Yeah, we had a great discussion about unicorns and Loch Ness monsters, but that's not what this podcast is about. There are others like that you can go find.
There's plenty of good podcasts for that kind of stuff.
But I remember Ryan when you first ate something, it was a spoonful of honey. You probably want to eat a lot when you're like done, right?
Yeah.
In your mind you do, but it
Yeah.
can be dangerous.
Oh, for sure.
Because your stomach's small, you're not used to food, and
probably honey wasn't even the right thing. Now that I look back,
probably
I've done
wasn't
some
too
fasting.
bad.
It wasn't too bad, but you're supposed to kind of just eat a little bit of like watermelon or cantaloupe, something. Right?
Really, like the
something really light and
easy to
not too
digest.
much, yeah. Anyway.
Okay, so after the fast, kind of what did the rest of the Liberty years look like?
That's where I met my first wife,
Mm-hmm.
Sonia. We met my junior year, and I was very passionate about following Christ during all of that time. I mean, the handful of guys on the baseball team that really loved the Lord, we just gravitated towards each other. And I looked up to some of the older guys, that were just genuine Christ followers. Because like you said earlier, I think before we started, just going to a Christian high school or a Christian college does not make you a Christian. Doesn't make you a true follower of Christ. And plenty of people were there, on the baseball team, going off campus, doing, whatever. And the stuff that, you definitely weren't going to get away with doing on campus, but people found ways to still do the same college stuff. But no, the rest of college was just really awesome. And I always look back on it, remembering that it felt like I was in a bubble, like a really beautiful, protected state with just wonderful people that I was surrounded by. And I was at peace for the first time in my life, because I was not at peace as a child, just for a number of reasons.
Yeah. I remember, just because this is funny, so Ryan invited me to his wedding. I never forget it because it was in New York.
Yeah.
And
upstate.
Yeah. And it was a fancy wedding.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was poor. Like Shannon.
So was I.
Shannon was teaching, and I tried some jobs. I was a terrible waiter. Terrible. I mean, because I'm not an auditory guy. Somebody would ask for a Pepsi. They got a Dr. Pepper. I didn't know what the problem was. It's a dark cola. I mean, get over it. It doesn't do well when you're
get over it.
No, I mean it doesn't. And
you made great tips, didn't you?
No, I did not. I was a lifeguard too, but among other jobs. But anyway, we go there. We're so poor. We're in a tent. We have to camp. You probably didn't even know this. We had to camp. And
no, I did not. I didn't know that.
You were like, "Hey Jeff, we're supposed to all go play golf and go on this like yacht," and I was like, "Bro, man."
It was like a riverboat thing.
Yeah. I was like, I barely got down here, man.
Yeah.
And in fact,
that all got paid for.
It all got paid for.
Yeah. It wasn't by me.
No, somebody paid for it.
Yeah, it was.
But I think
my in-laws.
I don't think they were supposed to pay for all of it. Were they?
Yeah.
I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah.
I just felt
No,
I felt out of my element.
they
'Cause-
put on a
oh yeah,
$25,000
oh
wedding,
man,
and yeah,
yeah. So
it was very uncomfortable for me
really,
because I did. Yeah, that was. Well, do you remember going back just a little bit how much I said my dad paid for our first house?
yeah. He was a working man.
Yeah, so they
Yeah.
paid 1.5 times for the wedding what my dad
Oh.
paid for our house. So yeah,
Yeah. So okay. So you and Ryan was in my wedding too, and which we already mentioned. We both forgot, which
yep,
is terrible.
yep.
Okay.
I've been hit in the head a bunch since
You
then, so that
have.
was my excuse.
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
Okay. So you graduate Liberty. What happens next?
So, my wife, we got married as she was getting out, and I was finishing my senior year, and we waited tables also. So she was a manager at the Outback Steakhouse there in Lynchburg, and I was waiting tables and getting finished in school, and she got asked to be a manager, an opening manager for the first Outback Steakhouse in Manhattan on 3rd and 53rd Street. They
It's
were
a big deal.
building, yeah. So we ended up moving to New Jersey, about 5 miles outside of Manhattan, and commuted into the city. We both worked in the city in 2002. Like, we moved there in January 6th. I still remember it, January 6th of 2002. So just a few months after 9/11. So it was a mess down there, you know. And the city is a shock. If you've ever even been there, let alone worked or lived in the city, New York City is just a mess. But she was working about 90 hours a week opening that restaurant, and I was working 40 hours a week. Within 6 months of leaving Liberty, I was already doing, you know, I was doing the rebellious things that I had been doing before Liberty. I was not going to church. I was not connected to one other man. I was not in the Word. I was not praying. Nothing within 6 months of leaving Liberty. And I had secret addictions going already. I was addicted to online gambling. I was drinking a little bit on the side with a couple of people I worked with. I was addicted to pornography, and I was just generally, I mean, I can honestly, as funny as this sounds, I look back, I don't even remember what, like, the transition. I didn't like go through a slow degradation. I just left Liberty, and all of a sudden I had all this free time on my hands and no community whatsoever. And I just jumped right off of a cliff again, like I had been 4 years earlier when I left high school. Um, and that went on for the next 20 years.
So just another connection between Ryan and I. So I because we're about to get into the Army years, I'm assuming. So I like you, I joined the Army after September 11th. It's so weird. My wife's uncle had a dream that he was talking to Jesus Christ in the dream. He's a believer and retired as a general officer. And I think he was a colonel, light bird then. Had a dream he was talking to Jesus, and Jesus told him that I'm joining the Army. Okay? Well,
Told your uncle that you were joining the
no,
Army.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm a believer now, and of course, I believe in dreams and visions, and God tells us things. Well, when He told Shannon this, she had already known that this was true. She knew it months before, but she never told me.
And you never thought once about the Army. Yeah.
No. And then when He told me this, I could not get it out of my head. And in fact, I went and I was a high school teacher, and I said, I'm signing up. I went uh, and took the ASVAB, and I told God, well, I don't tell God anything, but I was like, God, like we're going to war. This is like where we're at. Like, is this just me, thinking that this is true? Is this just my uncle? I mean, I need to know. And I literally, I think I got about a perfect score on the ASVAB. And they were like, you should be in nuclear submarines and all this. Of course, that's not what I did, but
It's
but
just
anyway,
funny that that's what everybody always says.
yeah.
You're the
Is that what they always say?
You're literally the second person today that said they got a high score on the ASVAB and they were told
Yeah.
to go on nuclear
Well,
submarines.
I think it was almost perfect.
Yeah.
That's
What
pretty.
is perfect? I don't remember.
I don't know. Pretty
Like
good for a guy
115
that
or
got a B
something?
minus
That's pretty.
in calculus and studied.
Yeah,
hard.
because you got to have some mechanical
Yeah.
engineering type skills and some math skills.
So anyway, so I joined the Army, and I go to basic training. And let me just tell the audience is when you go to basic training with the last name Peacock, it is lots of fun. It's a blast. It's a blast.
Yeah.
And so I go through basic training, go to officer school, and sneak into airborne school. We're not going to get into that here because I don't want to get in trouble. And I called Ryan in airborne
From
school.
airborne school, yeah.
Yeah.
This is what's really crazy is
Hadn't talked to you how long had it been then now?
well, yeah, what was that?
I mean-
2002?
Yeah. So a couple years.
Yeah, it was the year before
Yeah.
I joined because of that phone call. So
You joined because of that phone call.
yeah. So you started following Christ because I fasted for you. And then we were at each other's weddings. And then I joined the Army because you called me from airborne
Yeah,
school because I had never thought about it either.
It must have also been how bad the current situation was, too. You might have, I'm sure you thought, I'm not in the right direction.
Oh, it was a way
Yes.
out for sure.
Yeah.
Because she did that job for exactly a year. We moved there. Here's why I remember the dates. We moved there January 6th of 2002, and we left January 5th of 2003.
Hmm.
So that I could go into the Army. And that was a miserable year. Just not just for me, the alone time, but for her, I mean, you've probably worked 90 hours a week before. I know I did quite
It's
a bit
rough,
as a
man.
commander.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time. You literally are only working and sleeping and eating. And it's no life, and she didn't know half of what I was doing. I'd pick her up at 2:00 in the morning, from when she'd get off. I'd drive down, pick her up. She'd be passed out, within a couple of minutes of getting home, and then have to be up, at 8:30 or 9 and headed back into the city. So we did that for a year. Yeah. So yeah, when you called, it was definitely a way out.
Yeah.
I went to a recruiting station in New Jersey at the end of 2002, probably within a week of your phone call. So
Okay, so you joined the Army
yeah,
and kind of walk through what does this look like? Are you walking with the Lord now, or still
well,
no?
no.
Still no. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think this is where, we got two young men sitting right here, and you and I have lived almost 50 years on the earth. We've all, and anybody who's going to listen to this, knows what it's like to make bad decisions. Some make really bad decisions and are just off the deep end. But when you do, you end up really feeling like there's no way back from that. At least I did. And I talk to enough people now on a regular basis that that's how they feel. And it takes months and sometimes years for them to be convinced that God loves them and that they can be redeemed, that their time can be redeemed, that their life can be redeemed. And I believe that because I walked with the Lord so closely for 4 years, that when I had done that, in Hebrews 10, it says that if you continue to sin after you have known Christ and you've known about the blood of Christ, you trample on the blood of Christ and there is no more forgiveness of sin. And I had been just blatantly sinning for over a year at this point, by the time I joined the military. The shame and the guilt and the despair that started building at that point, I did not believe that I could just turn back around and go back and ask forgiveness. I thought, I have ruined my chance.
So did you run the other way?
Well, yeah. I mean,
You just ran further away from him.
yeah. And out of guilt, shame, and fear, I mean, I genuinely believed what ends up being all of the enemy's lies, that you're irredeemable. So like I said, I hate even talking about these things, and I won't go into a lot of details, but I mean, I was addicted to online gambling, which I'll talk a little more about later with gambling, pornography, and drinking. And, those things, just one at a time is bad enough. When you're doing all of those things and outside of work, all you're thinking about is how to feed your flesh, you're lost, man. You are gone. And I mean, my spirit was broken. It was horrible. It was an absolutely horrible. And I don't want to say like that time was horrible. I set the groundwork for many years of just despair that led by 2010 to suicidal ideation, which lasted for about 6 years before I attempted it. So, I mean, that's a lot of years in that state.
Let's just go back. So you're in the Army now. You're a junior officer.
Yeah.
Still married.
Yeah. I was with my first wife for
Yeah.
17 years, including our time dating.
And how was the marriage going?
Well, we were very good friends. And I'll say that. Something I'm going to talk about later, and you mentioned the word, but let's just say that was a topic for her. It was something that she dealt with, when I get to that later. But she was closed off in a lot of ways, and she had never really wanted to be married. And if we look back, I probably kind of pushed her into it, and she probably felt like, well, this is a really good man. He loves God, and I'm probably not going to do any better than this. If I am ever going to get married, I might as well. So I think I pretty much talked her into it. But there was, as good of friends as we are, and we'd always call each other best friend. We'd talk on the phone all the time, and but we were never intimate. She'd say that we actually talked a lot. 2015 after we got divorced, and there was just so many things. I'll take the bulwark of the blame, but we weren't close on like an intimate husband and wife level. We were just best friends, and she always loved having someone who supported her out in the world. I've got my best friend and someone who cares that I'm doing well in life. But we ended up spending 7 years of our 17 years together physically separated, between my 4 combat deployments, all the officer schools, which you're very familiar with. She ended up joining in 2010, and then she deployed twice, went to all the officer schools. I mean, we spent a significant amount of time apart, and given I had already started
Yeah.
addictions back in 2002, you can imagine.
It just fed into that more.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was alone all the time, left to my own devices, and I was miserable. And I didn't believe there was a way back. I think a few different times I tried to talk her into going to church, and we even had a couple of, and none of, I mean, I have great respect for her, and she's actually still in the Army now. I guess she's got 3.5 more years to retire, which is amazing. But I have great respect for her. But we had several conversations, and there was just we were not on the same page about what it would look like to go to church, to be a godly household. Because I would try to bring that back up, and I think in a lot of ways, and maybe this,
But you weren't living it either,
not at all,
you know?
but it was all in secret.
Yeah.
So in a lot of ways, I would try to have conversations with her, and this probably will speak to a lot of men, I would think, that I would use the perceived rejection of my, household leadership and authority because I would talk about wanting to go back to church, and I would think, well, if we both got on the same page and we were in church, then some of these things would start to drop away. And we just didn't see those things the same way, and we never consistently went to church, let alone joined, a small group or got involved in other people's lives or allowed them to be involved in ours. And there were things, that I even found out with her down the road that were heartbreaking. And, and again, I have immense respect for her, no judgment whatsoever. But I did a lot of those things in secret. And that's where, I will look men in the eye a lot, pretty much on a daily basis, and just push until they actually start being honest with themselves. Because you don't need to tell me anything.
Yeah.
We lie to ourselves. And
We're the only ones that believe it too.
Oh, I know. Yeah, people see it eventually.
Yeah.
But so what I learned to do was successfully navigate a career. And I was a general's aide. I commanded 2 companies, one in a pretty prestigious unit. I always went to all the schools, and I was always in the top 3 in every officer school that I went to, and sometimes out of 80 or 100 plus people. I was a very high functioning addict, but I was always addicted. And so I just know what it looks like to say you are something, and I know now what it means to be something. And I mean in your soul. And that's the only thing that matters at the end of the day, is what we are in our soul and whether our spirit is alive.
So yours was dead.
Yeah.
It was dead.
Yeah.
I remember you had you showed me a picture when you were in the Army, and it was like just a headshot, and you were like, "Look at me, man, I look dead."
Yeah. Look at my eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. They do. I look at that, I show that picture to people because I think that picture was in 2013 or 14, like on my 4th deployment. And I literally just my eyes looked dead. And I had been suicidal for several years at that point. And I was lost. I was as lost as I could have been. And I was going through change of command ceremonies and, killing every, outdoor activity that we could do, and, running marathons and climbing mountains, and, taking military teams to go do athletic competitions that we did really well in, all that kind of stuff, getting through Ranger school, that's not easy. I mean, I was accomplishing a lot of things, and I was dead inside. And so I think I learned really slowly over time, those things don't They do not matter. Um,
Did you know you were dead? Probably not.
oh, I did,
You
yeah.
did know.
I'd get drunk and, stick my gun in my mouth and fire it over my head. I'd just bawl my eyes out,
Because you were miserable.
I was miserable. I'd drive out into the middle of a field somewhere and just scream and pound the ground, yell at the sky. And I mean, I was so miserable. But then I'd, gather myself back up and go out the next morning to do whatever I was.
Just like it never happened.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is we all have the capacity to do that. And we're ultimately only lying to ourselves. When I started reading the Bible again, one of my favorite passages is at the end of Ezekiel in chapter 12. And this is Solomon, the wisest man that ever walked the earth. And he said, here's the conclusion of the matter. And if you've read Ecclesiastes, there's a lot in there. But he says, fear God and keep his commands, for this is the whole duty of man. For God will bring every deed into judgment, including every hidden thing. And I think coming to realize that we're not getting away with anything. Nothing. There is not a thing that we're doing in secret that will be forgotten. It can be covered by the blood of the Lamb, but it's not forgotten when you're living in it. It's adding up. The judgment throne, what happens? All of the dead are brought up in front of the judgment throne, and books are brought out. And all of the dead are judged according to those books. It says they're judged according to their deeds. And without Christ, we're judged by every single thing we have done in secret and maybe openly. But none of it's hidden. And I think when you're trying to delude yourself into believing that you can hide things and you keep lying to yourself, you really go crazy, And Christ really has the answer for that.
It's destroying you.
Yeah. But that's what I always get confused about, is how did I walk so closely with him? I remember thinking back a number of times, how is it I could fast for 40 days and feel, I had some really incredible experiences during that fast, actually. And I thought, man, I'm so beyond convinced. It's like you just said a little bit ago, I was convinced. You remember crystal clarity. I was convinced in this moment, this is true. Christ is God. Jesus is God. And I need him. Like, you knew that. It was, I felt like I knew that beyond a shadow of a doubt. And how it is that we can chase back after the flesh again, I don't know, but it's possible.
Well,
free will's always at play.
We're all only a few steps away.
Yeah.
So I joke. I say, look, if I'm not in the Word for about 4 or 5 hours, man, I'm already a heathen. It's not quite that quick, but I can tell you right now that if I'm not in the Word, in prayer, abiding in Him,
yeah, and that's the key right there.
It doesn't take very long. And I could be in any of those worst spots too.
Yeah.
And I know I'm a believer.
Yeah.
And you see this all the time. You see believers that fall way far from grace.
Yeah.
And it's like, that could be all of us.
Yeah.
Unless you're abiding in Him. So 2013, you're lost. You're still in the Army. But you're killing it in your career.
Yeah.
But things continue to go down the wrong path.
Yep. All hidden. I do remember one time, I think it was at the end of 2013, in the Ranger Battalion, and I'm a company commander, and I had to go to my battalion commander and try to get in front of something that I thought was going to happen. So,
What was that?
well, when you commanded a company, I believe, an ordnance company, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got 125 to 50 guys, right? And so I did, and I had all these addictions. I worked. I mean, I would stay in the office. The more I was doing something productive, the less I was destroying my bank account and my body. So, but when I was free, I would, go up to Seattle and go to a casino up there. Or one time, you're not supposed to leave a proximity of the unit.
Yeah, because you're kind of like on call.
Yes. And I went and won like $34,000 at a casino, and I got a red-eye flight on a Friday night, and I flew to Las Vegas, the only time I've ever been there, and I gambled for 48 straight hours.
48 hours.
And drank and did drugs.
Yeah.
And then flew back and was back at work on Monday morning. And
how do you even function like that?
It was insane, some of the stuff that I did.
But
what I ended up having to do was I lost all of the money. I lost about $10,000 of the money I had made up in Seattle. And over the next probably month, 6 weeks, I lost all the rest of it, plus some. That's just what happens with gambling. So I ended up not being able to pay some bills. Like it was horrible. And I don't remember what the exact thing that I thought my battalion commander might end up finding out about, but I went to his office and told him.
You told him I'm in debt? And
I said, I've got a problem. Yeah. And
how did he take it?
I think he had seen quite a bit. I mean,
he already knew.
The Rangers were, no, not with me.
No, or he had
1,000.
He had seen it.
There's 1,000
Yeah,
men in the battalion.
Army Rangers, man, they live hard and fast. And
oh, for sure, yeah. Anyway, he basically, I probably just had his eye on me, but he was getting ready to change command, so the new guy came in, and I just continued on, and it kind of, like, that scared me, that I was gonna, like, hey, if I lose my career, then, I don't know. I kind of floated on a bubble, but you can imagine how my marriage was doing at that point.
We all were in two separate worlds.
Yeah, we had split our finances at that point, so I was really doing it to myself. It was just, the whole thing was a mess. But I kind of got my act straight, I guess, if you want to put it that way, for a little while. Not really. But
how often were you doing like these weekend?
Pretty much any time that I had.
And how much
free time. So I'd do it. I'd get away from. Nobody knew my personal life.
Nobody knew you were doing this.
No.
And
except my wife, because I'd end up having to ask her for money.
Really?
We'd split our accounts, and I'd still, anyway.
I know in the Army they drug test you. So did they not really do it, or?
Yeah, I don't remember even getting drug tested for
quite
a while. But I didn't do a lot of drugs.
No, it was just drinking and gambling.
It was mostly drinking.
Pornography.
Yeah.
And so you continued that for, I guess, years.
Yes.
And
continued to get just that much more depressed.
Yes, deeper.
And yeah,
Going deeper.
Into despair. I mean, that's the only way to describe that feeling, that place that you get in.
And so what happened next? I mean,
so I left that second company command successfully.
Yeah.
Made it through without getting in trouble.
No real arrest or article fit. Nothing. I mean, everything's looking pretty good on the outside.
Yeah. Although, then I went to the Command and General Staff College in Leavenworth, Kansas in 2015 or 2014. And I did end up actually I bought one of the Stingray Corvettes, 2014 Stingray.
Yeah.
And I went to a party and drank way too much, and then took some random guy I didn't know on a ride, and we went by a cop at like 150 miles an hour. And then I
drunk,
yeah, very drunk. And then I whipped it back around, and it was dark. We were in the middle of Kansas, and then I went by the cop again. So
he got you for sure this time.
oh yeah, and I have no idea what he didn't end up even having a speed to tell me. I don't know if he didn't have his.
He didn't need one.
No,
You know?
he knew something was wrong. So I was so far ahead of him that I pulled over. I don't even know the guy's name that was in the car with me. I was just, it's so dumb that you impress somebody that you don't even know their name or, you know. And I opened the door and he ran, and then I sped back up, and then I slowed down. And the police officer never knew that I had somebody in the car with me. And I got detained. I told him my situation. I failed the road test miserably, you know, where you have to walk the line.
Yeah, and all this.
Yeah.
And, you know, balance stuff. And
he took me back to this little town jail, and he said, "I'll tell you what." He was a Marine.
okay.
You're never a former Marine.
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah. Once a Marine, always a Marine.
just like I'm never a former Ranger. I don't. But he said, "I'll tell you what. If you can pass a breathalyzer by the morning, then I'll let you go."
And he gave you some grace there.
Man, yeah. It's the only time I've ever been. I was detained. I don't know. Isn't it arrested once you're like booked or I don't know, but
yeah,
it was scary. So I at least watched drinking and driving for the most part, although I can't say that I didn't do it again. But I was still living.
So you passed the test in the morning?
Yeah. Like probably 8 hours later, I drank a lot of water.
He gave you water to drink.
Oh, he let me just.
Oh yeah, he was giving you a break.
Yeah, he gave me a break, big break.
Big break.
Yep. So anyway.
But did you learn from that?
Absolutely not.
No.
Yeah. No, this just continues.
Yes, nothing.
I'm not telling you any of these stories, one, to glorify anything or to highlight anything, because there's a lot worse things that I'm not going to share. Yeah. I was depraved. I was doing a lot of bad stuff. And I don't know how to even account for demonic activity and, you know, like how far gone you can be, but I was gone. So 2015, I got my last assignment. I had a number of physical and mental issues at that point by 2015. So I went to Hawaii for my last duty assignment, and I really struggled through that time there. I have a really good friend still. He was a contractor named Willie. Probably send this to Willie. And we still stay in touch, and he really talked me through that. He's a good man.
So you met Willie in Hawaii?
Mm-hmm. But I ended up divorcing my first wife there and marrying a woman that I had no business ever meeting in the first place, let alone marrying. And that only lasted just over a year. So.
And so was Willie a Christian?
Yes.
So he was speaking life into you in that time.
But he had been through a whole lot. He was a Vietnam veteran.
Yeah.
He had actually been a door gunner in Vietnam.
Okay. Yes, it's the tough guy right here.
Yeah, he's about 6'5".
Yeah.
Big guy, real strong presence. And the very first thing that he did, I was in charge of this little office where I had just a few contractors, and he's a big guy, and he looked. This is where the first time I believe that this has ever happened to me like this, because you know what it's like to be around a bunch of men, especially in the military, but just generally looking into people's eyes, sizing each other up. Like if you've got a room full of men, there's people just kind of like assessing who's the alpha male in this room, right?
Yeah.
Well, Willie just came and looked straight into my soul, and he asked me a question, and I gave him my pat answer that I gave everybody over all those years. And
he wasn't buying it.
He was shaking my hand, and he didn't let my hand go. And I'm 6'2", but he's like 3 inches taller than me and bigger than me. And he pulled me even closer, and he looked me dead in my eyes. I'm telling you, he was looking into my soul. And he asked me the question again. And I could tell, man, this guy is not going to take it easy on me. Because I'm thinking I need to come establish, the office camaraderie
Yeah.
and, my position there and all these kind of things. And that was not what happened during that time I was in Hawaii. Willie, really, in a lot of ways, probably kept me from ending my life then. But I was still going to attempt it a year later. And this is why June put tissues right behind. Yeah.
But he held things back for a while.
Yeah.
He was your friend. He cared about you.
He's still my friend.
He's still your friend.
Yeah.
And he was one of those guys speaking life into you.
Yeah.
And
he's about 25 years older than me, or so.
And he knew exactly what was going on. He knew.
Yeah.
He could see the darkness in you.
Yes. Yep. And he called it out.
Yeah.
Without saying anything specific.
Yeah. And you knew that he knew.
We both knew that he
Yeah.
knew. Yeah. Yep.
And so, so what happened after that in Hawaii? And
I ended up getting medically retired out of Hawaii and moved back to Kansas. I had started that relationship in 2014. So got divorced in 2015, married her, and then attempted suicide. Ended up in Topeka, Kansas, in a mental health facility for a couple of months. I think I have 4 different stints in mental health facilities, just trying to figure out what was happening in my head. But those 2 months there, I came out sober, and I stayed sober for the next 3 months toward the end of 2016.
from drinking. This is drinking?
Yeah. And I watched the woman that I had, married, my second wife, just continue to drink and gamble and do, all the same things. And I was like, I got to get out of here. And I ended up leaving the end of that year. And then I briefly came back to Dayton for just a very short period of time, followed another woman down to Florida, still not divorced. And it took me 4 years to divorce her, my second wife. And she was just taking money and, keeping me on the leash. And I was still, had all these addictions. So I wasn't trying to put money towards an attorney. I went down to Florida, and I spent the next 2 years as a security director, first for the Sikorsky Airfield, which just is a big developmental airfield for mostly helicopters. So they build, test, and experimental helicopters, like Pratt Whitney and Sikorsky and some of these bigger, names, engineering. And I did that, and then I got hired away from there to the Breakers Hotel, which is a resort hotel, to be the assistant security director there. And full swing in my addictions, to the point where I'm now a retired major, getting that pay and getting security director pay, and I was homeless for about a year and a half.
Where were you living?
Either on somebody's couch. I had an RV for about 6 months. Spent months in a car, in my Ford Fusion, in a closed down Toys R Us parking lot. But I was taking showers at the Breakers Hotel, putting on a black suit and tie, running security, and
Still living a lie.
Yeah, all those years. And I think because I had my life flash before my eyes when I attempted suicide, and I was never going to do that. I didn't. I never stopped believing God existed. I just thought, I'm biding my time till I have to meet him and pay for all this.
When you say, so when you attempted suicide, what do you mean you're like flash your whole life? Or
If you've never had it happen, the only way I know how to describe is that everything in your entire life goes in front of your field of vision instantaneously. Like everything.
so you had
Like if you hear somebody with a near-death experience
Yeah,
talk about a
they say
life
that.
review,
yeah,
I had
it's
it all in a split second. And what I had done that morning was get as high and as drunk as I could possibly get in order to get the courage to do it. So
Were you going to shoot yourself? What were you going to do?
no, I don't.
You don't have to get into that, but
I don't.
But you were serious about.
Oh, I was in the middle of doing it.
Yeah.
And the reason I don't want to go into the details is because I don't even want like the mental pictures, but my life flashed in front of my eyes and I was almost gone. And I literally went from as drunk and as high as you can get to sober in a split second. Like it was supernatural. And I panicked. And I got out of the situation I was in and passed out and was found 5 or 6 hours later and then ended up in the hospital. So it was that close. Like if, I spent the next 2 months just like pretty much all day long, every day, just contemplating how close I was. And just how scary that I could not control myself. I couldn't. I was actually happy to be in the mental institution.
Because there was control.
Because
some stability.
Yeah.
Some normalcy.
Yeah, and I couldn't
destroy yourself
I couldn't
anymore.
destroy myself anymore. Yeah. But I went down to Florida and I continued to destroy myself. I went for a couple of days at a time, I think 3 different times while I was down in Florida. And I ended up going to hundreds of anonymous meetings while I was down there, trying to figure out addiction. Still to no avail, but.
Hundreds of meetings and no breakthrough.
No. So I was in that in 2018, in September of 2018, I was in that parking lot. And I was I'm 6'2" again, and I was sleeping in the back of a Ford Fusion. And not once, you talked about how not smart I am. Here's another good example. You can lay the seat down in the back of that thing, and then you can sleep into the trunk.
Yeah.
Did I ever do that one time? No.
No, you just cramped your legs in.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I just came back, from what I did that night. It was probably 3 a.m. Had to work, 7 o'clock the next morning, and I couldn't sleep. And I got out and I knelt down on the concrete. I can almost still feel the concrete on my knees, like when I just think about it. And I put my elbows in the driver's seat and I just prayed and I asked God, please stop this. And this is where I'll distinguish a lot of times for people the difference between worldly repentance and godly repentance. And all of those years, I had prayed many times. When I would be out in the middle of a field screaming at the sky, I'd repent. I'd say, God, I'm sorry, take it away, stop me. I wanted him to just basically alleviate the consequences of my sin. That's what I wanted. And that's what I call worldly repentance. I did not want a relationship with him again. I wasn't coming to him in order to live righteously and to be in relationship with him. I just wanted the turmoil to stop. I wanted to be normal. Not that that's a bad motivation, but what he cares about is a relationship with us.
Yeah.
And so I prayed another worldly repentant prayer in the driver's seat. And I went the next week and a half without going to a casino, without watching pornography, without drinking, without doing any drugs, without sleeping with any women. I was like, that prayer worked. And I really thought so. I went to anonymous meetings during that time. And then the next paycheck that I got, I blew it all. And I ended up in that back seat again, drunk and high, and lost. And I did not understand. I thought, God, I thought you fixed it. And this is all the kind of stuff that wherever the depth of this conversation goes, and whoever it might mean something to anybody as they're searching their own soul, godly repentance is what is required. And that's a true desire to be made new and to walk in step with the Spirit of God. Not to just be relieved from the consequences of your sin, from the debt, from the pains that you're causing to yourself and those around you. People spend their entire lifetime begging God to take away all of that stuff, and they don't want a relationship with Him. And I honestly can't say that I did either, because my mind and heart weren't even functional at that point. But somehow He sees where we are, and He knows what ability we have at any given time. And I learned eventually what godly repentance was.
I have a question. So those years prior, did you just, when you were worldly repenting, did you just hate the consequences of your sin?
Exactly.
But did you also hate your sin, or just the consequences? So like what I mean is, if you could do it all and there were no consequences,
Right.
did you hate that part too?
I don't know. I mean, that's where I don't know that it's possible to even go back. My mind wasn't right. And I knew everything I was doing was wrong. But remember, all the way back to 2002, I thought, I've already trampled the blood of Christ. I didn't even know that verse at that time.
So you
But
thought
I already
you were
thought
unredeemable.
I thought you get a chance. You walk with the Lord and then turn away, and there's no coming back. That's what I thought. I mean, I thought that was evident by the clear inability to stop myself from doing everything I was doing. I thought, I've been given over to, I remember these kind of phrases a lot, being given over to a reprobate mind or a hardened heart,
Mm.
And it clearly
the enemy
was.
knows Scripture too.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I was just
You know?
believing everything that was running through my mind. But so anyway, that night, after I'd gone about a week and a half without anything, thinking things are going to turn around, but I wasn't in relationship with the Lord. I wasn't praying and thanking Him for anything that week and a half. I was just looking around thinking, oh, it's gotten better. That was it.
Things are good.
Things are good. Well, that night I ended up in the back seat again, empty bank account, trying to sober up to work the next morning again. And I made a decision then. All of my stuff had been at a 10 by 10 storage unit for like a year and a half at that point. I'd only go down there to get stuff out to pawn. I mean, that's literally all I had gone into that storage unit to do, is pawn stuff. And it was full of stuff. But I decided I'm going to leave all of my stuff, which I did, in that storage unit. I'm going to go in and quit my job at the breakers. And I still feel bad about that to this day, the way I quit. I just walked in, told them I quit. I'd gone through a very extensive process to get hired there, and they really took, a chance to hire me. Not that they had any indication anything was wrong.
Yeah.
They didn't know about any of this, but
Yeah, but you got to get all this security stuff. And
it was so much involved. And, anyway, I just quit and left with the 3 black suits and ties they had given me. I mean, just everything was in the back of the car. I forgot about it, but just quit, left. They never knew I had any addiction issues or what was going on. And I left my stuff in the storage unit, drove back to Ohio, and I don't even believe I told my family I was coming. I just showed up. And I thought, I'm going to go. And I mean, I was blowing all my money and homeless anyway. I'm going to go back to Ohio, and I'm going to try to learn to live on my retirement income until I can figure out what is going on in my head. And so that's when the end of October 2018 is when I came back up here.
And at this point, though, there was a true repentance. Or you were still
There was a
working
deep
through that?
acknowledgement.
Yeah.
There was a deep acknowledgement that, I mean, I had known for all those years how much wrong there was, but I mean, you don't sleep in the back of your car for more than a few days knowing like this is not the way it's supposed to be, especially after you've had a pretty successful career, you know. But I was still not repentant, not in a true godly repentance, because here's what I did. I spent the next 3 years, and I actually stayed clean and sober. And there was even a purity aspect to what I was doing. But I spent the next 3 years in New Age practice, doing transcendental meditation and listening to 3 different New Age gurus, which I'm not even going to say their names because I just don't want their names, you know, repeated. I don't want anybody to look them up or listen to a word they say. But I did spend those 3 years pursuing God.
A different God, though.
Yes, a different God. And Jesus Christ was just like all of the other ascended masters. So this made sense of, you know, everything for me. And I think I told you before we started filming today, but I started reading the Bible 4 years ago again, because even though I was free of the addictions at this point, I still had like a rage inside of myself. Like I was impatient all the time, or very often, but I would just blow up. I would just have this, you know, like I can almost feel my eyes change. You know what I mean? And so I decided to start reading the Bible again about 4 years ago. And I started in the book of John. And I read.
I think that's where most people should start.
That's right.
That's what I tell people.
Yeah.
Who are interested in reading the Word is, let's just start in the book of John.
Yep. So I read, and now I was, for those 3 years, I was back to talking about spiritual things all the time. Yeah. All the time. Like I was a disciple of the New Age. And
now what do you mean though? Like how does so as a Christian, when I talk about Jesus, I'm talking about the book of John, talking about what's in the Bible.
Yeah.
You know, so I when people are like, I'm spiritual, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'm spiritual. I mean, I talk about this.
Right.
You know, and so like when you talk about spiritual things, I just don't know what that means.
I would do meditation and go into these. I mean, you're basically attempting to kind of blank out. Like I thought my mind is so depraved at this point. It just needs to be erased. So it made a lot of sense that you would just learn to meditate until you were free of your mind. And so that's what I did. I did a lot of meditation. And I would have some pretty incredible experiences during those meditations. And I'd be at peace during those meditations and have something was happening. And it was powerful. And then within an hour, I was back out where animals were making noises. And matter of fact, tomorrow is my wife and my 5th anniversary. So I'm married to an amazing, godly woman now. But I would come out of those. We met not long after I came back from Florida, actually. And so we've been together almost 8 years. And I'd come out of those meditation things and I'd tell her how I was at peace. And then I'd be blowing up about something like an hour later. And we both knew something was still wrong. But I wouldn't admit it. I think back to finding reasons for things and excuses for things. And so I just thought she needs to be on this spiritual path that I'm on. Because I had evidence. I wasn't doing all these addictions anymore.
Yeah, but
my soul was
still
still
weren't
messed
right.
up though.
You
No,
still
I
weren't
was not
right.
So here's what happened. 4 years ago, I read through the book of John and I got to chapter 8. And Jesus is talking to a group of Pharisees. And he says, you believe? Good. Because a lot of them, Nicodemus came to him in chapter 3 and said, we believe based on the signs that you're doing. And he said, you believe? Good. Now, become my true disciple, and then you will know the truth and be set free. And I literally, when I read that, just started bawling. And in that moment, I decided Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. I believe this. I hadn't even gotten to chapter 14 yet, but I remembered, scripture. And I, in that moment, transferred my allegiance from the New Age because I knew how to be a disciple now. I'd spent 3 years fully committed to that. And I transferred my allegiance to Christ. And it was about another 6 months reading scripture and really praying, trying to undo a lot of the really messed up theology I had swallowed in the New Age. And it took me about 6 months to say, Jesus is God. I believe that. And I need his redeeming blood. I need what he did on the cross. And that is when I became truly repentant.
Can you pull that verse out? What is it? Go ahead.
Which one?
Yeah, the one in John. You said John chapter 8.
Yes. I'll try. I'm glad I've got my glasses on because you got this little Bible here.
Well, it fits good in my glove compartment.
I know. Yeah. So I'll read this passage. He is, and that's what really bothers me about these words that Jesus said to those disciples or those Pharisees, and that people take out of context, is we have all of this truth. Everybody talks about truth. Everybody talks about love, right, in this world. And there's always, the truth will set you free. The truth will set you free. But what is truth? And before I even read this is what I truly came to believe. And until my last breath, I believe Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. So the truth is a person. The truth isn't an ideology. It's not a cultural norm. It's not something that each individual comes up with on their own and they have their truth. The truth is a person. And that is the most simple and beautiful knowledge, that if somebody would truly come to believe that and to follow the truth and to understand what he's saying, it will change your life and you will be set free. But I guarantee you most people, and maybe a lot of Christians, don't even know that it's Jesus that said that. The truth will set you free. So he's talking to this group. It says, so Jesus said to those who believed in him, and remember throughout this book, there's so many people coming saying they believe based on the signs.
A lot of people believe.
At the end of chapter 2, he says, and Jesus on his part took no account of man because he didn't need the testimony of man. Even though these people in the verse before it said many were believing in his name because of these signs he was doing. But he didn't need man's testimony. So people coming and believing, and we even know from Scripture that the demons believe and shudder, right? It's not just believing. It's truly placing your faith. It's believing in your heart and confessing that belief with your mouth that he is your Lord. Demons don't confess him as Lord, but they believe they know who he is.
Yeah, they don't follow him.
They don't follow him. Yeah, so he says, if you obey my teaching, you are really my disciples. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And that's when they said, we are the descendants of Abraham, and we have never been anybody's slaves. What do you mean then by saying you will be free? So they were in bondage to religion, and they believed that they were free and that they were in the light of God, I guess. And Jesus is standing there telling them, you have to follow me and abide in me, abide in my teaching, and then you'll be free. But they're saying, no, Jesus said to him, I'm telling you the truth. Everyone who sins is a slave to sin. And I was a slave. I mean, I was a slave. I could not stop myself from sinning. I couldn't.
Well, can any of us?
No.
I mean, that's the thing.
No.
We're powerless.
But some people aren't quite as, yeah. But many are. Many are truly and deeply in bondage. A slave does not belong to a family permanently, but a son belongs there forever. If the Son sets you free, then you will be really free. I know you are Abraham's descendants, yet you are trying to kill me because you will not accept my teaching. I talk about what my Father has shown me, but you do what your father has told you. They answered him, our father is Abraham. If you were really Abraham's children, Jesus replied, you would do the same things that he did. All I have ever done is to tell you the truth I heard from God, yet you are trying to kill me. Abraham did nothing like this. You are doing what your father did. God himself is the only father we have, they answered, and we are his true children. Jesus said to them, if God really were your father, you would love me because I came from God and now I am here. I did not come on my own authority, but he sent me. Why do you not understand what I say? It is because you cannot bear to listen to my message. You are the children of your father, the devil, and you want to follow your father's desires. From the very beginning, he was a murderer and has never been on the side of the truth because there is no truth in him. When he tells a lie, he is only doing what is natural to him because he is a liar and the father of all lies. But I tell the truth, and that is why you do not believe me. Which one of you can prove that I am guilty of sin? If I tell you the truth, then why do you not believe me? He who comes from God listens to God's words. You, however, are not from God, and that is why you will not listen. My life changed. Maybe a second time. I don't know, because you knew me.
Yeah.
You knew me. And you know, I genuinely believe I had the light of God in me during those years at Liberty. I can't explain how you can fall away so hard and then how you can be redeemed, but I definitely was a prodigal son. But I am undeniably a son of the Most High God. And that's only because of Jesus Christ. He has set me free from an unbelievable amount of pain and turmoil and suffering.
He's still doing that today.
I know.
You know, it's important, and we said this, is it's important for, I think with believers that to know that all of us are capable of doing that.
Yeah.
All of us. If we stop abiding, like, you got out of Liberty and 6 months later, you had stopped doing all those things. Stop reading the Word, stop going to church,
Yeah.
And then the enemy sneaks in. He replaces those things with his deceit and his lies and his fake stuff
Yeah.
that he promises. We'll all go down that road.
And he will convince you that you are irredeemably
Yes.
lost and that you have made the last wrong decision that you have the opportunity to
You've
make.
never gone too far for God.
No, and that's what, in Job, he makes it very clear that you cannot escape God's presence. There's no depth or height, or you can't go far enough to the east or the west. You cannot escape his presence, and he is always calling us. While we're on this earth, we are redeemable. There will be a second death and there will be a judgment, but this is actually a time of grace here on the earth. When you're in the middle of the deepest, darkest sin and turmoil and pain, it doesn't feel like a place of grace and mercy. But this life is an opportunity to experience God's grace and to truly turn and choose him. And that's the beauty of this world, is that he doesn't make us follow him. He gives us the chance to follow him. He gives us the choice. And his mercy and grace are abundant, and he's always calling. And there will be no excuse for people that stand in front of him one day and have just mercilessly denied him and mocked him. That will be called to account too. But nobody has mocked him too much while they're still drawing breath on the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is redeemable.
Praise the Lord for his mercy and his patience.
Yeah. I thank God that I thank him that his time is not our time.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he obviously doesn't see what seems like an eternity for us. I mean, years can seem like a really long time. Sometimes a day can seem like a really long time. And he's just waiting for us to turn back around,
Well, so so most of the rest of the story is good.
Oh, it's wonderful now.
And
Yeah.
so let's talk a little bit about, I want to make sure that we kind of talk about some of these 3 points that you wanted to talk about, and I want to talk about really what you're doing now. And so I think let's just hit those. So, mental health addiction versus discipleship.
Yeah, so I just spent so much time in addiction facilities and recovery programs, anonymous programs. And even though some of them, point you to a higher power, I mean, even during those 3 years with New Age practice, I was looking to a higher power. But it is vitally important that it is Christ.
Well, because you need a new heart, man.
You do. You need, just like Ezekiel 36:21-23 says, you need to be sprinkled and cleaned with his living water, and you need to be given a new heart and a new spirit. And until that happens, you're subject to your flesh.
Well, and I've seen a lot of things with New Age is you're just trading. To me, New Age movement is a changing of the guard. And so individuals are leaving maybe anger or addiction behind. That demonic force might be gone. It's replaced with another.
Yeah, that's, one of the things that I believe I was really deeply deceived with during those 3 years is that I believe, especially the purity aspect, I wasn't watching pornography for those 3 years. So there was a purity aspect of that. And I think the enemy is happy to support self-righteousness. I think he's happy to support, you know, oh, you don't want to do drugs and alcohol? Fine. I'll
Trade
just
it for something else.
trade it for something else. Yeah.
There's only one thing he's really not happy with, and that's submission to the lordship of Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah. He really
Anything that he'll let you have anything except
Yeah.
for that.
Yep.
Because that's when a person really yields to the lordship of Jesus Christ, there's legitimate breakthrough. And so I've thought a lot more recently. What does it look like, even in my own life, when I still want to hold things back from God? I still want to have secrets. I still want to be in charge of this. Well, that looks like not abiding, man.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a little bit.
Yeah. Anything done outside of the Lord's effective will is our will. And our will is not leading us into the kingdom of heaven. It's not, because
No.
it's self-centered.
Yes.
That's why, Paul lists all these different things to avoid: greed, selfish ambition, envy, strife, dissension. The lists just go on about the things that we'll do out of selfish ambition. So our worldview needs to be switched from self-centric to Christocentric, to Christ-centered. He really needs to be the center of everything.
We've had quite a few individuals on the show here from Celebrate Recovery. Praise Jesus Christ for Celebrate Recovery, because it is 12-step but Christ-centered.
Yeah.
And they've realized that although you may find some sobriety in 12-step, it's you need the new heart, man. That's what you need. You need the Holy Spirit to invade every single area of your life, every single room, every single corner, all of it.
Yeah.
And I wish believers, I wish individuals just realized the life that they could be living if they just let go of themselves. Just let it all go.
Yeah.
They would walk in victory, true peace, true joy, true power. And what happens is it's overflowing from that individual life to where you now want to have others see that too.
Yeah. Actually, there's no other purpose in life once you're truly walking with Christ, because he makes everything alive and new, and it's amazing. There's so much throughout Scripture about the living water, and I think that's Proverbs 4:23 says, "Guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it flow the issues of life." And Jesus, when he's talking to the woman at the well, talks about this living water that will flow up to eternal life, right? And that is that place that he has reserved, that if you'll guard it and you'll invite him in, he will provide a limitless source of life, of living water. Revelation makes that promise, that you will have access to the living water, and it's free. Right in the last chapter of the Bible, the Spirit and the bride say, come drink freely of the living water. It's freely available, but we do have to trade one life for another.
Mm-hmm. And we have a choice in that.
We do.
All right, so I want to talk, really, I want to make sure we hit this, is the power of community and vulnerability.
Yeah.
So what does that look like? You're a new Christian, you're trying to follow the Lord, that's your intention. You want to see victory from sin, you wanting this. What does that look like? And how do you do that?
I've interacted with, I'll just say, dozens of men over the last 4 years. Before I even started going to church again, if I found somebody on the street, I was literally grabbing them and just telling them, I know the answer. If you're lost, I'm telling you, Jesus Christ
Yeah.
is alive and he's true and he's the answer and he will, redeem you. But it was discipleship. You have to abide in him, like we said. And I'd take a guy to a recovery center or something, and then he'd come out and I'd go, okay, now it's time to get plugged into this men's group. It's time to, start meeting and going through the word together. And they just wouldn't do it. And
Why don't you think they do it?
same reason I didn't do it, because the guilt and the shame are so real. And unbelievably, even if I would share my testimony with some of these guys it was clear, there's so much more I could share with you. I was lost, depraved, gone, and I was redeemed. But they would somehow not believe that they were redeemable. And they would look at me and or somebody else, they'd point to somebody and that you're redeemable, that person's redeemable, but I'm not. I'm too far gone. The lie I had believed all of those years. I've gone too far. I've done too much. I just can't believe a different identity for myself. And then so they would just go back and they would never plug themselves in. So the importance of community. This is a small church here. We have, 35, 40 people on Sunday. You can't see it, I don't think, on the camera, but the pulpit is right here. And there's, a few rows of pews. We have 35 or 40 people, but it's a beautiful community of believers who love one another. And we're growing, all of us, in our own individual ways in a lot of ways, and as a body. But I'm also involved in several men's groups. And each one of those little communities of believers have people that's their only community, but it's enough because they're plugged into it and they're open and vulnerable, and those people know them and they get to know those people.
They're sharing life together.
They're sharing life, and they're coming to understand that they're not alone, that we will continue to fall, but it's a righteous man falls 7 times and gets back up. It's not that you don't fall.
Is that a biblical verse?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. I like that one.
Yeah. So we're going to still, Paul writes extensively about the struggle between the flesh and the spirit. And I think it's important. I mean, I often say on a Sunday morning, I'm here just basically reading the Word of God, and I'm reminding us again this week. I'm just reminding us of things that have been known for 2,000 years.
Well, because you're preaching to yourself too.
100%. Yeah.
This message is for me.
Yeah. And I say that often, and I'll call myself out, because there isn't a day that goes by that I'm not reminded of who I was and that I have been redeemed. And there's only one reason. And like you already said, that I can make choices again and I can go back. And that's the scariest prospect in the world for me.
Yeah.
That I'd ever live any of that again. I'm telling you, it was hell. I don't want to do anything to jeopardize that again. I don't want to live another 5 minutes in my body in that state of heart and mind that I was in. It was horrible.
I think at least you even having that fear that I never want to go back is a step is a step in the
Thanks,
right
Jim.
direction. You know, is a testimony of the fact that you're saved now. And I had a friend who we were reading this book by Paul Washer, and
He's amazing.
yeah,
Living for an audience of one.
yeah, and that was one of these questions, like, you know, how do you know if you're saved? Well, one thing is that you just don't want to go back there again.
No.
You and you hate it. You hate it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think Christians today also, they need to hate their own sin in their own life before they hate other people's sins. You know,
Yeah.
but you need that accountability.
You do.
You know,
Yeah.
because you got out of the Word a couple days, you don't sleep good, your body doesn't feel right,
Yeah.
and the enemy comes with an offer,
Yep.
and it might look good, and it normally does,
Yeah.
but it's always a lie.
Yeah.
And so I agree. I think even most of my own life, I feel like there was not this close brotherhood. And I think it's especially important that as a guy, it's with other men, and where you're vulnerable, where you're accountable.
Yeah.
One of these things we had it on the last show. He said, he called it FAT. You got to be faithful, available, and trainable. And so now you're doing this regularly. You're meeting men regularly. All of you are growing. You're growing too. They're growing.
Yeah.
And
Or somebody stumbles and you pick them back up.
yeah,
And that's another, just to real quickly highlight the importance of not, kicking people when they're down. And it happens so
Yeah.
often. I mean, it's almost like people feel better about themselves if they see somebody it's
That's
like
self-righteousness.
It's self-righteousness. Like if I can get the attention off of myself, hey, look at that guy, look what he's doing, and I think so many people could be picked back up quickly and be right back on the narrow path if the people around them loved them through it instead of condemning them and judging them. And it's not that you accept overt blatant sin, or if somebody's doing something, especially in a church, church discipline's necessary. You bring someone in and you say, hey, you're doing this and it's wrong, and this needs to stop. And then if they don't stop, another person along with you, and then ultimately you bring someone in front of the church and you say, listen, but that's only because the person is doing it with intention and refusing to stop.
Mm-hmm.
That's different.
Well, we're all gonna make mistakes.
Yeah, when we fail, I think there's a pretty quick path to redemption.
Well, because Jesus is like this.
Right.
He's like, I'm waiting for you just to come back to me.
Right. Yeah.
Just come back.
Yeah.
Confess that sin before me. I already know you did it anyway.
Yeah.
But I want you to repent.
Right.
And just come back.
Yeah.
And so like you did so many times, we run the opposite direction because of shame, guilt, regret. We think we've gone too far, the sin's too bad, and then we just run to more sin,
Yeah.
which just digs ourselves into a deeper hole. And so yeah, so accountability, vulnerability. You're like that with several other guys. I would say everyone in the audience, if you're a believer and you want to really grow and you want to have true victory, long lasting over your sin, you want to grow and mature, you need to get into a group where you can be intimate and vulnerable, where you're reading the word together.
Yeah.
You're talking about not just spiritual things, but you're talking about Jesus Christ, what he says in the word, what he's doing in your life, where you're praying together and you're trying to run the race together.
Yeah.
That's important.
It takes time to build the vulnerability necessary.
Yeah.
You know, there's a guy that this was a couple of years ago. He told me about this. Will never leave my mind about accountability. He'd been in a men's group for about 10 years. They had done life together. I mean, like meet every week, go to meals, have, everybody was meeting at each other's houses. Over time, guys passed away, moved out of town, job opportunities, things happened with family, whatever. It dwindled down to 3 men, and they started off with about 10. When I got down to these 3 men, the one man, the third man ended up leaving for whatever reason. I don't remember exactly what happened. And then there were 2 left. And the guy telling me about this said he had an affair in his marriage. And the other man, the only 2 of them left out of these 10 men that had stuck together all these years. I mean, you do life together for 10 years, you should know each other pretty well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're in this accountability. I mean, this was a men's discipleship group with the intention of, staying strong together. And that other man found out about his affair from someone else, not from him. And he stopped talking to him. He wouldn't talk to him again. He's like, we've been doing life together for 10 years now. And you've withheld probably the most important thing in your life that maybe we could have worked through together and helped you out. But my presence in your life didn't matter. And I think that happens a lot in churches, even in smaller accountability groups. They don't end up being accountability groups because people don't come to trust each other.
Yeah.
And actually share their hearts. And that's when I say transparency, accountability, that's what I mean. It might seem, everything that I'm sharing right now is, clearly I've been through a whole lot to start outing myself, but I didn't for all those years. All that stuff was a secret. And I haven't really broken, we've been talking, eye to eye the whole time, but this is where I will look for, I don't know how many people might watch this, a few, many, I don't know, but if there's one man, I'm going to share something that is on your list. But during all of those years and all the things that I've exposed about myself, I spent 10 years from 2006 until 2016, and it started when I was a general's aide. I was bulimic. So on top of all those other addictions I mentioned, this one particular hidden issue. Now I was a 220-pound Army Ranger running marathons, bench pressing over 300 pounds, and I was bulimic. And it was a control issue. I would go through a fast food restaurant and get a meal and then finish it by the time I got to the next one and finish that meal. And sometimes I would end up eating 3 full meals just in time to get home. And you can imagine how full I was. And then I would purge it. And a lot more men struggle with even eating disorders. And there's a lot behind an eating disorder too. And I share that, and I intentionally wanted to make sure I brought it up because since I've shared that, the first time I told another living soul about it was in 2023. So I was bulimic from 2006 to 2016, and I told my current wife 3 years ago for the first time. And then I ended up sharing it with a couple of men's groups, and I've had 2 different men in their late 30s and early 40s come to me, and it took them months to come to me and tell me they've been struggling for years with the same thing and have never told another soul. So even that, it doesn't really matter what the addiction is, what the control issue is. But the reason I brought that up specifically is because of how long I lived with most of those things. But I had outed myself on a lot of them by going to anonymous meetings,
Yeah.
doing things to try to see if I could figure any of them out. That one I never told anybody.
Why?
It's embarrassing. Men don't talk about having an eating disorder,
Yeah, people think that's a woman's disease.
Yeah. And then you end up finding out that about a third of people with eating disorders are men, statistically. So whatever the actual numbers are, I don't know, but men are a lot less likely to acknowledge something like that.
Yeah.
So I put that out there because if there's even one man with that thing in particular that you have never been able to share another person with another person about that, and you want help with it, you can get a hold of Jeff and he'll get you in touch with me or however it would work.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to talk to anybody that would need to talk about that because that can really damage your body. It can
Big time.
cause heart attacks.
Mm-hmm.
You can have serious esophagus issues. Obviously, just digestive issues in general. There's a lot of real serious health complications from that.
It's hard to be free from that too.
Yeah.
Because of the control.
Right.
And so I've seen it clinically. People really hide it.
Yeah.
And most people don't. They, even if you call them out on it, they don't want the help.
No.
Or maybe they don't know how to get the help, or so they just like you. Jesus Christ had already set you free from so many things, but there was this one issue that you still had, and the enemy was still using to destroy you.
Yeah. And mine was anger.
I
mean, I hadn't been bulimic since 2016, but I just bring it up with people because of just how insidious, I would say, the nature of a self-centered life is and believing lies. Because the reason that you do those kind of controlling actions and you have a secret life is because you honestly believe that you're not a good person. There's something about it. I mean, I listened to just recently I listened to cricket. I listened to a professional cricket player, big, probably 210-pound, super good-looking athlete, and he had been bulimic for years. In his first year as a professional, he was made fun of for his weight in the papers or whatever.
And that's all it took.
He was really famous, and that's all it took. And he spent the next number of years, 8 years or something, bulimic. And he got down to an acceptable, he'd look good for the papers or, on TV when he was playing his matches or whatever, but he was dying inside. He was tormented by it and could not understand why he continued to do it. He would say, I look fine now. I don't even believe that back then, whatever. But it all becomes just a just one more head game that the enemy uses to deceive you into believing that you're not worth the kind of identity that God honestly created you for. I mean, he made us with a blueprint, and it's in relationship with him, it's beautiful, and it is peaceful. It's free. You're not going to want to overeat or overdrink or do drugs or, throw all of your money away on gambling or.
Well, you have a
look at
sound
stuff
mind.
Yeah, you have a sound mind. Yeah. And so everything is good. Everything is,
And even if it's not, you're content.
right.
And you trust him. And
Yeah.
you're like, I'm going through this because it's developing perseverance, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
All right, Ryan, is there anything else that we need to hit today?
No, I think we could both look back at this right here. I love, June, you did an amazing job setting all this up. The light is highlighting the cross and Jesus Christ right there. That's it. That has been in the center of this conversation the whole time.
Yeah.
And not just these, things behind us, but the Spirit of God has been with us in this conversation, and he is in our midst. And I'm grateful. My wife Cherish has been just, again, tomorrow's our 5-year anniversary, so it's just neat to. Matter of fact, this is going so long. Are we going to push over midnight?
We might by the time we eat dinner tonight.
Yeah, no, but no. So happy 5th anniversary, Cherish. I love you so much, and I'm so grateful to be walking with you. But on the back of the vehicle that I got for her, I put the license plate, 1 John 1:7. But if we walk in the light as he is in the light, then we have fellowship with one another, and the blood of Christ covers all of our sin. And I don't know how else to end it than
That's
just
a
to
great
say
way to end it right
Jesus
there.
is the way, the truth, and the life.
That's right. That's right.
And I have enjoyed immensely this fellowship time with you, brother. Not seeing you for this many years, and knowing that you still have
26 years.
I know. I honestly, I'm going to be kind of dumbfounded by it for a while now. So,
yeah.
But it's so awesome to see the light of Christ in your eyes. And
I know you're really looking at me, man.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
Ryan,
looking into your soul,
man.
like Willie did.
I love you. Well, Willie, he made a difference in your life.
He did. Yeah.
And so,
in fact, I'm going to call him tomorrow.
Yeah, tell him. And so now what Willie did for you, you're trying to do for others.
Yeah.
And that's what we all need to be doing.
Yeah.
Reaching out and loving people, meeting them where they are, and pointing them to King Jesus.
Amen.
So
I love you, brother.
I love you too, man. So that's another wrap for the kingdom. Your story, my story, his story. This was great.
Yeah.
Tell them hope isn't far away. There's new life in Jesus' name.